always felt the need to stay in a group. I always was vigilant because even to this day, and I have young girls, I'm still saying, if you don't leave your drink anywhere. Mom, I'm going next door. They're like family. I get it. I know. But it's just something that you have to start, I think, at home and preaching to these kids nowadays, just to be extremely careful,
Exactly.
So we're joined this morning, if you're just tuning in, we're talking to the creator here, Christine Irwin of Voices of Hope. I am Melanie Taylor. This is Sunday Magazine, CBS Radio. And her website is voices-of-hope.org. And you can also email her, voicesofhope2015@gmail.com. Christine does do speaking engagements. It is Sexual Assault Awareness Month. There are many events happening in and around the city. We're going to talk about one here shortly in a little bit. April 26th, Christine will tell us about that. But Christine is a rape victim, and she lives locally. I met her just a few weeks ago. Now, Christine, can you talk a little bit about, I see here in the notes, because you gave me such great information so that when we talk today, I would be able to understand a little bit about what goes on and what you do. There's a webinar for the Pittsburgh Human Resource Association. It's called The Silent Crime, and it's about what your workplace needs to know about sexual and domestic violence. Can you talk a little bit about that in depth?
Sure. Yeah, so that webinar is taking place on Tuesday, April 26th, and it's from 12 to 1 p.m. And basically what that webinar is going to entail, it's going to obviously go through what is workplace sexual and domestic violence. It's going to talk about when does the sexual and domestic violence become an issue in the workplace and the costs that are associated with that. As a survivor of sexual assault, this has long-standing effects. And, I've even spoken to people in the past that had those long-standing effects to the point where it was affecting their work life, where it was affecting their performance. So there is actually a great organization out there called Workplace Response. And I utilize a lot of their information in this presentation I'm doing. And it basically outlines that a workplace should have a policy for sexual and domestic violence victims. It'll cover what you can do as an employer, how to respond as a coworker who might be going through an abusive relationship or has gone through a sexual assault. So it's going to cover all of those facets in that hour. I actually have some testimonials from two survivors that I had met with, and they're going to give their input as well on what they went through. I do also have an individual that I know through the Pittsburgh Human Resource Association, a lawyer. She's going to come on and also talk very briefly, from the legal aspect, how this can have an effect on an organization as well. So it should be very useful, I think, for a lot of organizations out there.
And would they find that right on your website, Christine?
They can. If they go to my website and if it's under events, if they go under events, they can actually get a direct link to sign up on the Pittsburgh Human Resource Association's website.
That's amazing. So once again, we're talking this morning. She is the creator of Voices of Hope. Her name is Christine Irwin, and her website is voices-of-hope.org. We're talking about sexual assault. This is Sexual Assault Awareness Month, and events are happening in and around the city. Christine, talk a little bit about the Voices of Hope project.
Sure. So Voices of Hope is basically a voice of hope to all the survivors and victims out there, and even to their family and friends. As someone that's gone through this, I've come to the realization, that this just didn't affect me. This affected all of my family. This affected all of my friends. It affected them emotionally, psychologically, so I turned that into my healing as to reaching out to them and finding out how they felt and what they were going through after they found out. Even to people that I know now, such as my husband, how he felt and how it makes him feel about our culture and how rape and sexual assault is viewed by our culture. And then, which in turn, not only turned into Voices of Hope for my friends and family, but then I'm also turning into a nonprofit where I can give back to those organizations that helped me out in the past.
And talk a little bit, since you're in the process of trying to do a nonprofit, we're also going to talk about your idea of becoming an author too, correct?
That is, yep.
What are some of those, because you mentioned them early in their interview, mention some of those organizations that you'd like to give back to that have helped you.
Yeah, so a big one is right here in our own backyard, TAR, Pittsburgh Action Against Rape. Another one, which was local for me in my hometown of Johnstown, Pennsylvania. The name of that organization is actually Victim Services. They're the Rape Crisis Center for Cambria County. And then on a national level, you have RAIN, the Rape Abuse Incidents National Network, which also offers some great great areas for victims, survivors, families, and friends, just like TAR and victim services as well.
And these are great things that I am learning for the first time this morning too. Some of these amazing organizations, and if you do, follow through with that dream and make this a nonprofit, then you can give back, and I'm sure that would help many, many, many victims.
Exactly.
We're talking to Christine Irwin this morning. Thank you for joining us. This is Sunday Magazine on CBS Radio. Christine is the creator of Voices of Hope. The website is simple. It's voices-of-hope.org, and her email is voicesofhope2015@gmail.com. And Christine, tell everybody about Facebook and Twitter in case we have some early risers this morning that are just loving social media. How can they find you there?
Sure. If you go to Facebook, you can search for Voices of Hope, and you can find us there, or go to www.facebook.com/Voices of Hope 2015. And for Twitter, if you just search for my handle, which is Voices of Hope 15, you'll be able to find us right there.
Okay, can you talk a little bit more and elaborate a little bit about the upcoming April 26th event, Christine?
Yes. So that event on April 26th, that is a webinar. It's going to be completely online. It's Tuesday, April 26th, 12 p.m. to 1 p.m. It's called The Silent Crime, What Your Organization Needs to Know About Domestic and Sexual Violence in the Workplace. Obviously, sexual and domestic violence is a huge issue nationwide, but when it comes down to it, the victims and survivors of these incidents, have lasting effects on them and can affect their performance at work. It can get to the point where even they're potentially a perpetrator is contacting them at work, and it just can affect a huge organization. So basically, this is going to help professionals in the workforce to identify someone that might be going through an abusive relationship or sexual assault, and also help them in how to respond to that. It'll talk about the cost of violence in the workplace. It'll talk about when domestic violence and sexual violence actually becomes an issue, and what you as an employer can do by implementing a policy that is for sexual and domestic violence, which actually during that webinar there will be handouts, and one of them includes a sample policy as well.
Wow, that sounds amazing. And like you said, if you go to voices-of-hope.org, if you click on the events, then you can get registered, and it's right under the event section, correct?
That is correct.
Now, if somebody is a victim and somebody, suffered sexual assault, whether it be rape, anything, man or woman, could they go to your website, Christine, and could they give some testimony there or set up a blog? How does that work? Do you interact with people that way?
I do. I'll be honest, I haven't as of yet, but that's kind of also a longer goal as well. I do currently have a blog right now that serves as the purpose to educate and empower and also give insights to my story. But my goal with that blog actually is to get survivors and victims involved and actually talking about maybe their experiences and letting them know that they're not alone, that, anybody that's gone through something like this, we all experience something a little bit different, but in a sense, we're all closely related and same as a sense. But no, that's definitely something that will be coming up down the road, including survivor stories. 2 individuals that will be sharing on the webinar on the 26th. I'm going to include their stories on the website, and hopefully it expands to more.
That's wonderful. You have so many visions. It's so amazing. We have just about 2 minutes left, Christine, and I'm going to give out the creator. That's who you are, Christine Irwin, Voices of Hope. I'm going to give out the website again. And really quick, in these last couple of minutes, I'm going to ask you to do something. It's going to be very easy. The website is voices-of-hope.org. And Christine, what I'd like you to do right now on CBS Radio, this is Sunday Magazine, if somebody is just tuning in the last couple of minutes, if those people listening this morning are victims of sexual assault and they are extremely nervous, scared, they don't want anyone to know, but they kind of do want someone to know, they're looking for an outlet, can you give them some advice? Because, of course, at 19 years old, you went through this. You've gone through it. You understand how serious it is, and you're still going through it every single day. So what advice right now would you give that one listener or 2 listeners or 3 listeners this morning to try to reach out to get help? Yes.
Sure. So the one piece of advice that I have is talk to somebody. If it's a friend, a trusted friend, a family member, Pittsburgh's Action Against Rape, they have a 24/7 hotline. If you call that hotline, someone will answer and someone will listen, even if it's just talking to that individual over the phone. Or if you don't want to even talk to somebody on the phone, RAIN, the Rape Abuse Incident National Network, actually has an online chat that's available 24/7 where someone can go online and chat online with an advocate. I can't say how much just talking about it and just even coming out and saying, this happened to me, and that's it. That's all you have to say. You don't have to announce it to the world. You don't even have to go into detail on how it happened or when it happened or who it was. Just saying that it happened to you, to someone, it can be such a huge weight off your shoulders. So I definitely recommend talking to someone, whether it's a friend, a family member, a trusted professional, or one of the resources that I mentioned, such as PAR or RAIN.
Perfect. Christine, it has been a pure pleasure talking with you this morning. I am Melanie Taylor for CBS Radio and Sunday Magazine, the creator of Voices of Hope at voices-of-hope.org. Christine Irwin, thank you so much, Christine.
Thank you, Melanie. I can't tell you how much I appreciate you helping me get the word out there.
More from CBS Radio's Sunday Magazine is coming up on 100.7.
Welcome to Ask a Banker. Next is Abigail in Westchester.
Hey guys, do you have any tips for avoiding overdraft fees?
Well, at Huntington...